You're listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN. Once again, here's your hosts, Gary Kelley and Brad Avergon.
Hi, welcome to All Things Real Estate. We are presently on Fridays at 1. We're going to be moving to Saturdays at 7. So follow the bouncing ball. I'm Gary Kelley of Lamacchia Realty, and I am joined by Brad Avergon.
Brad Avergon with Envision Bank and Mortgage.
So Brad, how are things in your world?
Busy, Gary. They are busy. How are things in your world?
My world is changing. I have gone to Lamacchia, and it's been, that's in my world, it's kind of a big change. To our clients, we're working very hard to make sure that that's completely, I'm going to say, transparent. That obviously we want them to know that we've shifted the horse that we're riding, but at the same time, the quality and services and stuff are not going to go down from our perspective. And so that's very important to us. Sue and I both had a long run at RE/MAX Executive, and the RE/MAX organization is a fine organization. We wanted an organization that focused more on training and was nimble. RE/MAX, they got 140,000 agents. They're not exactly the most nimble in the world compared to 450 at Lamacchia, but different set of challenges. But we've made the move. We're happy about the move. We sat yesterday in a session with Anthony Lamacchia, where he's talking about what the real estate market looks like and what the future is going to bring. And he won't use the term bubble, but he'll talk about at what point will there be an adjustment. And he's not using adjustment as a euphemism for bubble. He just says at some point the superheated stuff has to go away. And when's that going to be, etc. So he's a very interesting guy, very dynamic, and he's built an organization around him that's similarly interesting and dynamic. The thing that I find interesting is a lot of the people that are kind of his right-hand people have been with him for a long time. And that speaks, I think, to who he is and certainly who they are. And I think he's got a little craziness going on. He will admit to going to a conference and he's on the phone with someone and expecting immediate brochures to come out and stuff like that. And, I don't doubt that that's who he is, but you got to be a special person to be on the other end of the call when the call and the owner of the company says, "Hey, let's do this and let's do it today."
Right. He's I've been fortunate enough to hear him speak a few times on some of his podcasts and things. He's a very dynamic individual. He's also very intelligent. He's very educated. He's a Bentley alumni like myself, I believe.
Sorry.
And
Sorry.
So he brings a lot of education into it, and he gives a lot of thought, and he has a great perspective on the market, and very forward thinking, which is great. I mean, a lot of people in our industry, not you and I, but a lot of people in our industry are reactive. They're like, "Oh, if my phone rings, I'll answer it,
right,
and then I'll go from there." And that's not how you and I think, and that's not how he thinks. He's looking, where is the market going before it goes there, and how do you prepare, and how do you prepare your clients? How do you get your clients and put them in the best light, put them in the best position? And I think that's terrific, and I think it takes a special individual to be able to do that. So I think you're following a good guy, and I think that's, congratulations. That's
well, thank you. It's been. It's not something that you make an immediate decision on. It's something you think about and whatnot. And we're pleased with the decision. And it's kind of interesting to have the phone ring on a Saturday, and it's Anthony Lamacchia. You recognize the voice from all of his TV and radio and all that stuff. So it's kind of fun. It's just different, Brad.
It's different. Well, you and Sue have always put your clients first, and I know you guys gave it a lot of thought to do this, and I know that was probably making a move like this is a big move, and it takes a lot of work on your side and such. But I know because you put your clients first, that this is why you're doing it. This is, you're.
This has nothing to do with anything our audience is going to be interested in, but it's interesting how many places the logo appears. It's on, Real Scout. It's on MLS. It's here. It's there. It's on all these different locations, and it takes a lot of time to find those. And frankly, Sue came over to the office today, and we threw out probably 100 pounds worth of collateral from the other place that we had printed and accumulated over time, and then articles of clothing. I've got a zillion shirts with a balloon on it. We don't have that anymore. We've got a house roof logo coming on the 21st of February. If you want to know when the order is getting delivered, but it's just amazing. I have probably spent 2 days just changing logos in different places, and there's still ones out there that have to be changed.
Sure. Yeah, you can have a garage sale for your old apparel. Donated to. There'll be lots of people running around with Remax shirts.
Well, here's a true story, which has nothing to do with real estate. We're degrading into just the two of us chatting, but it's what we do. When I worked at Fidelity Investments, every team had a bunch of T-shirts made up because everyone's going to be collaborative and we're all going to wear the same T-shirts and everything else. And you end up with a lot of leftover T-shirts. And so what they did was take those T-shirts and they donated them to homeless shelters. And then the owners of Fidelity Investments would walk around and see the homeless people wearing their logoed shirts. And they didn't think that was the best product positioning.
I'll just add one more an anecdotal story to that. So my understanding is, and it has to do with this weekend coming up. So this weekend's the Super Bowl, and they have to obviously prepare apparel. They don't know who's going to win, but they have to prepare Super Bowl champions, right? So they do 2 sets, one with each team winning. What they do with the shirts that are no longer useless, right? They're no longer useful because that team didn't win. Is they ship them to third world countries. So it's third world countries with kids running around with, so-and-so won the Super Bowl of 2022, which never really happened. But I was got a kick out of that. I thought that was interesting there with all those extra stuff. But it's a good use of clothing, so I think it's a good thing. But it's
right. I know that there are some companies that will take like used denim jeans and grind them up and treat them and make them insulation for homes.
Oh.
And then it becomes it's basically a cellulose product that's sprayed at that point. No. So, who knows? Your old jeans could still be living out there.
There you go. That's only because I couldn't wear them anymore. They got to be too ripped, right?
Exactly. Well, the issue I have with some of those clothes is they wear out, and just I tend to be one of those guys, and I have forever, where I wear jeans until they're just not fit to be worn anymore, and then you get another pair, and typically it's someone like Sue that's saying, Gary, it's time.
Yeah.
And so I have my very dressy clothing. I have my hang around the house clothing. I have my, paint the fence in the backyard clothing. And I think that's about as far down as it goes. But it's really kind of 3 sets of clothing. And I'm not going to say a suit jacket gets cascaded down to the degree of, painting the fence. But some of that stuff, I've got some, I'm really talking out of school here. I've got some suits here where I have cuffed pants. And, the suit may otherwise look good, but the pants, you just wouldn't wear these days.
I've got a bunch of double-breasted suits down, and I'm waiting for them to come back in fashion.
Exactly.
Anyway, we digress a little bit.
So, Brad.
Yes, sir.
The market is continuing its behavior, which Anthony would say is quite predictable. Based on, he wouldn't predict COVID. He wouldn't necessarily predict what happened with the market after COVID. But right now, his view is we're in a fairly predictable market. And so the question that a lot of people ask is it time to sell?
Yeah, yeah. Is it, Gary? You tell me. I mean, what's your perspective? Is it time to sell?
I think it's time to sell if you have a place to move to. The people that we have that are, let's say it's an estate sale, so the people don't need their house anymore. Yeah, okay, that's clear one direction. If you've got a someone that's just looking to downsize, in many cases they're in the same pool of buyers as a first-time buyer.
Absolutely.
And so they start knocking heads with that, and they're not accustomed to it. Now they have a benefit that some of them are in a position that they can do a cash offer, and they've been around enough to know, should they do an inspection or not. We always advocate doing an inspection, but sometimes we have people that say not going to do it, or sometimes we do an inspection at an off time. Off time meaning before we put the offer in. We have someone with knowledge go through the house quickly. They don't check every outlet and all that stuff, but they look and say, is this place about to fall down?
Right.
It's an approach to take. So those people have some advantages, but if we are talking to someone and they say that they want to sell, but they don't necessarily know where they're going, our first line of defense is, unless they're in the mindset of, I want to go into an apartment, I want to go into temporary housing, what we do is we immediately start to talk about, let's look at the buy. And I think we can continue that conversation in the second half, Brad.
Sounds good.
If someone wants to reach you, how would they do that?
Best way to reach me, Gary, is via my cell phone, which is 978-375-5531, or they can call me on they can email me at bavergon@envisionbank.com. Gary, how do they reach you?
My contact information hasn't changed. You can reach me by cell at 508-733-6005, and my email is gary@movewithgary.com. We'll see you on the second half, Brad.
See you on the flip side.
You've been listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN.